Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of Hollywood After Dark. Today is June 30th, 2025. We're going to be talking about Paul Walker's return from the grave, Jurassic World Rebirth, maybe not doing so great critically speaking, but hey, fuck Rotten Tomatoes, right? And the weirdest controversy I've seen coming out of Superman, the Lois Lane Upskirt shot seen around the world. Is it real? Is it fake? Is it meant to go viral? It's Hollywood After Dark. We're going to talk about it. Let's fucking go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? Welcome back to the show. It is, of course, Monday. It is my day off of work, and I finally got some damn ass sleep. So I'm feeling better. I'm feeling good. It's going to be a good week. A lot going on. Jurassic World drops tomorrow night, 12:01 a.m. It's so weird that they're doing an actual midnight release for this movie. I actually, before going live, I got an email from GoFabo Screenings, and they're like, hey, do you want to come watch Jurassic World Rebirth tonight? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, all right, come down to Portland, Oregon. And I'm like, I'm not going that far. This is the problem when you live in an area that is kind of smaller, right? My general area has about 100,000 people in it. We have only 2 movie theaters and one drive-in that's way out in the middle of nowhere, which actually used to be a porn theater from my understanding. So bummer, I missed that. But still, it's difficult to go see these sneak previews because I have to drive either 60 miles northbound or 120 miles southbound. And it sucks. So I don't get to go to that many of them because I can't really justify doing that, especially when it's kind of first come, first serve, as I'm sure many of you out there know that they've had these kind of screenings in the past. And yeah, I mean, it is, fun, but man, I'm in my early 40s. I ain't got no time for that. I'd rather be sitting here talking with you guys about movies and then just wait my turn to go see it. But that's kind of, indicative of just the summer movie culture is really what I think it boils down to. And that is the whole idea here that they need eyeballs on these movies, right? They need good word of mouth. They need good walk-up business. And I think that's going to really do well for a lot of these movies, F1 included, which we're going to be talking about here in a little bit. But, people have the ability now to kind of reserve seating. And I kind of feel like maybe we're going away from that model. I don't think it's ever going to go away. I honestly don't even know if I would like that. Because, there's a chance you may not get a good seat. There's a chance you may not be able to, enjoy the movie from the perspective that you want. But at the same time, it's why should you, deter people from walking up and getting there early and picking the seat that they want? It's a weird gamble. It's a weird mix. And I am actually really curious to kind of know your guys' thoughts on that. So speaking of that, let me kind of just pitch something real quick here. I created an anonymous Google form for you guys to write in with your anonymous comments. Ask me kind of whatever you want about the entertainment industry, about my thoughts on things like that. Because one of the things I really want to do is I want to find a way to build this into a community, right? There's a lot of people that do listen, a lot of people that do engage, and that's awesome. But I feel like it could be more. I feel like it could be a lot more. And I really want to try to build a space like that. And so that form's available. I do have a voicemail line as well. The downside, though, is that, I don't think people remember it, but if you want to, you can try 323-400-4956. If not, just look for the Google form link that's going to be in the video description. And then you'll be able to send in a message and whatnot. I got one message last night when I posted it. I think if you're a frequent member or a frequent listener, you'll know who this person is, especially if you come to the live streams, because I figured out who it was right away. But then again, that's okay. So yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit today about Superman. But before we do that, I also just want to point out that my review of K-pop Demon Hunters is up now. And I was reading through the comments this morning, and it's nice to see that so many other people kind of feel the same way I do. I think it's an awesome movie. My family actually watched it again last night while I was at work, and they've now watched it, I think, like 3 times. So what we're looking at here is a classic. It's in my mind, it's a classic. It's Sony is doing gangbusters on animation, and they should really keep at it, because I kind of feel like outside of maybe the DreamWorks side of thing, or the Pixar side of thing, Sony Animation takes some pretty big swings. And so far they've been doing really well with that. And I have to just like, say, hey man, like I appreciate it. I think it's cool. Mitchell's versus the Machines was really great. Of course, A Cloud with a Chance of Meatball movies were good. I liked Surf's Up. They've put out some banger, and of course the Spider-Verse movies, they put out some banger content. And I think it goes to show you that animation is alive, it's well, and you know what? It's going to probably be doing pretty well and even better once we get into the whole Gen AI side of things. And I'm going to start off by talking about some Gen AI stuff, okay? Because a story kind of broke earlier today that I wasn't aware of. And I've been talking about this like on live streams for a while. And it has everything to do with the fact that like what we're looking at is animation is most likely going to start heavily moving towards AI. To do like the in-betweening and to do keyframes and things like that. Whereas it's going to do the same thing for VFX, right? It's going to really reduce the workload on the pipeline, and that's going to like severely reduce costs, provided it's done like the right way. Which I can't even say that it's going to be done the right way, because I don't know if it's going to be done the right way. I know that I have my beliefs on what it could do, my beliefs on how it can change things, and my beliefs on how it can really kind of bolster creativity. And some of the stuff I've seen coming out of just like, a Mid-Journey or Sora or Runway or Kling or Google VO3, it's like people are really diving into the creativity, and we're going to see a fair amount of stuff coming out of this. Like I've said before, like pay attention to what like Adult Swim's going to do with this, because make no mistake, they are already developing stuff with VO3, like guaranteed. But let's talk about this, this new, series. This is coming out of South Korea. Okay. It's from a company called CJNM. They are the producers of the movie Parasite, the one that won Best Picture a couple of years ago. And they have actually launched what they're calling a full AI content strategy. And in the process of doing this, according to my notes here, they debuted a 100% AI generated animated series called Cat Biggie. Kind of a weird name. So it's described here as a nonverbal short form animation where a cat unexpectedly becomes the father of a baby chick. Right now, it's 30 episodes, and they are about 2 minutes each. It's going to be hit on YouTube globally. It's going to drop, I should say, in July of 2025. Okay. And that's interesting. Now, they haven't released anything for this. There's no trailer. There's just one screenshot that I saw in the Variety article. And what they want to do, and this is where, again, this stuff is never going to be as bad as it is right now. It's only going to get better. It's only going to get more accessible. It's only going to get easier. And I think, like, that's what excites me the most about it, to be honest with you. So, the people behind this, it's a small team. It's only like 6 individuals, and they created this whole show, beginning, middle, end, 30 episodes, 2-minute episodes in 5 months. Now, some people out there are going to be like, oh my God, like what the hell is going on here? That's insane. But it is in very much, like that's what they are able to do with this. And this is a small project, right? It's 2-minute long episodes, not very long. You can generate like clips pretty quickly, and they're upwards of like 10 seconds. And if the consistency is able to be worked, then it's not so bad. You can get through it pretty quickly. But this is just like a tester. This is kind of like a proof of concept in many ways. They have a goal here. They want to expand AI-driven content into films and dramas by 2025, by the end of 2025. Right now, they're building a global AI studio infrastructure and really heavily investing in like getting talent on board and everything else. Now, there are concerns, obviously, about, the future of creative jobs, IP rights, and of course, the whole, ethical AI usage argument. And those who know me know that I'm a proponent of AI, and I think that if done ethically, and I've always supported regulation, we're going to see some cool shit, like flat out, right? We're just going to see some cool shit. Because this baby's getting ready to hit 88 miles per hour. So we're getting ready to see some really cool shit. And if you've been paying attention at all to the whole like Bigfoot vlogs and the influencer vlogs over on coming out of VO3, like, yeah, it's getting wild. And the thing is, people are eating this up, right? Short form, humorous content is, yeah, flooding Twitter, flooding TikTok, flooding YouTube Shorts, flooding Instagram Reels, all of those things. It's all true. But it's doing it in a way that has never been seen before. And I can't help, honestly, guys, I can't help but wonder how many of those Bigfoot vlogs are actually backed by Google themselves. Like how many of those fake influencers are all just done internally and then put out in a way that is going to, like, you know, seem organic, because it's really flooded the zone super quick. Like in ways that even I, as a fan, I'm like, I don't know, that's a lot. The stormtroopers, the Bigfoot, the influencers, you know, I've seen like a bunch. I saw one that was like a Viking the other day. I saw someone at like Jesus's like crucifixion, you know, like people are just going hog wild with this, and it's going to be pretty crazy to see. So I'm curious about this cat situation to see what it does. Of course, when Cat Biggie drops, I'm assuming probably like tomorrow, like very soon, I'll give it a watch. I'll watch it with my kids and see what they think about it. Also, just I want to point out that the fact that it's nonverbal is really fascinating to me, because it kind of gives you an idea about like where it stands with this, I guess, or like what model they used, because VO3 right now is like the only one with native voice recognition, you know, voice and sound effects, right? You can do that with like others. I think like Kling 2.1 now has sound effects. There's like Higgsfield, which can do, you know, like avatar syncing to voice and whatnot. There's DID. God, that's an oldie. But yeah, there's a lot there that you're able to do with this. But again, it requires different models, and we don't know what they used. And if they are developing and training a model to use internally for their own content, then that could be something, again, on the ethical side of the argument. You know what I'm saying? But if they're just using like a series of different models to put this all together, I don't know. It's going to be we're going to see some stuff come out of this, which ought to be very interesting. I mean, but of course, look, man, your guys' thoughts are what I'm curious about. I know some of you are going to hate it, some of you might dig it, but like legit, I'm curious to know what you think. Okay, let's get into something a little bit weird. There was a marketing bit that was came out about Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane for Superman. And I know you're thinking, oh no, Matt, you're going to talk about it again. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. The movie is coming out in a couple days. There is stuff happening that is interesting to talk about. I'm going to talk about it. I don't get this. Like, I want to quickly point one thing out, right? I saw this comment last night. Someone had referred to me as being like nerdrotic in talking about this, like trying to imply that I'm like doing the whole Brie Larson thing or whatever. My brain doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. Like, I haven't said don't go see the movie. I haven't said while it's closed. I haven't said boycott. I haven't done any of that. I'm like being critical over what is being presented is something that I think every pundit does. But it's funny that because it's Superman and because I'm being critical over what I've seen, and I'm not the only one who holds these opinions, but it's somehow seen as like sacrilege or crashing out or whatever. I don't get it. Maybe some of these trolls, look, man, y'all spend your whole day on Twitter. I understand life passes you by. I get that. But maybe listen to what I'm actually saying here. Because this is one of the reasons why I have like the anonymous form. This is one of the reasons why I invite debate, why I invite people to call in, because I want there to be that open dialogue. If you don't like something that I'm saying and you have evidence and reason to back up why you don't like it, if I get something wrong, my whole goal is that it's something that people will tell me I'm wrong and respond with the correct information, right? Or their own valid argument that can then be discussed and debated. And on that front, I think I'm one of the most open people out there entirely about this. If you disagree with me, that's awesome. I just want you to vocalize it in a way that can lead to an actual good faith debate. And a lot of what I see are just like people who are kind of maybe in their own little echo chamber and they don't like it being challenged and they want to like criticize me to shut me up. And then all that does is tell me that because they criticize, but they won't engage. They critique, but they won't debate. Even though I'm the most open person, I've got a voicemail call-in line. I will go live and drop the link. You can do it anonymously, and people just don't do it. And at that point, I have to just come to the conclusion that it's not me, it's them. So it's not me, it's, you, the troll listening, who can't make a valid argument. I'm sorry. Like, and that's all I want is just there to be like fact-based debate. Because this stuff is based in what we see. It's all about storytelling. It's all about movies and entertainment and love and all of that stuff. And it's just, the more I do this and the more I ask for people to come and, and back up their thoughts and their feelings and let's do this thing. Let's have a good time. The more people just kind of seem to want to just retreat to alt accounts and burner accounts and things along those lines and try to gaslight people. It's sad, to be honest with you, right? Like, it's really sad because it does go against what I'm trying to do here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really do want to create something where people have the opinion, the ability to speak their mind and challenge me, right? Like, I think that's how we have a good, healthy community of people where you don't feel the need to hide your feelings, and thinking that I'm going to get mad and I'm going to like fucking block you. Because if you have a good faith, valid argument, and it's not just hyperbolic, nonsense that we would see from certain groups of people, then I don't have a reason to try to like, go, okay, you're not really adding anything. I like debate. And I wish more people did too, I guess is really what I'm trying to say here. So, it is what it is. Anyway, Lois Lane's panties. Let's talk about that because that is a controversy. That's something that's actually happening here. So there's this new Superman promo that came out that features Rachel Brosnahan, and I'm not going to show it. It's in the thumbnail if you want to see it, but it's she spins around and she kind of does this like, 80s, 90s sitcom introduction look, but she's wearing a short skirt. And when she turns around, she goes across her legs and you do get a brief upskirt shot. And this has broken the brains of a couple people. And it's true. One of the things that I have seen is people trying to deny that it's an upskirt shot. And I've seen people try to deny that it was something that was accidental, right? Or they're trying to make the argument that it's accidental. I don't think it's accidental in the sense of posting it. I think that in that day, because there's been other shots that have come out from that day where she was wearing pants. And in that moment, she was wearing a skirt. And it's possible that she went in there wearing the skirt as the first wardrobe choice. And then after that, went to, got pants on. But in this moment, she actually, oh my God, like she flips, you see the underwear for a brief second. And some people are under the impression that this was done intentionally in order to push virality for the movie, right? Because there's been this report that came out like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, actually, from, it was like My Time to Shine or something. And I just read about this last night, actually. But apparently like James Gunn had to cut out like 10 minutes of like sexual innuendo and sexual humor in the movie. Because it was originally like a 2 hour and 20 minute runtime. Now it's down to like 2 hours and 10 minutes. So some stuff got cut. And the rumor, and again, I hate rumors, so I'm not giving this any real credence, is that like he cut out sexual stuff. Because look, I mean, I kind of buy it, to be fair. I don't want to give it any credence, but like the whole thing that I can see being realistic about it is Gunn has got a very juvenile sense of humor. I do too. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of, some people are like that, and when you're trying to write like comedy and you're trying to write empathy and you're trying to write all this stuff, but your default joke setting is like, dirty, not safe for work, you're gonna put some of that stuff in subconsciously. Remember the Jackson Pollock joke from the first Guardians movie? Like PG porn that James Gunn did way back in the day. Like this is his humor. And he is fighting against his own humor. He's fighting against his own sensibilities or who he is as a person, which is one of the reasons why I keep saying like he's in over his head. Anyway, that aside, what gets me about this upskirt shot is that it was entirely avoidable to post it. Because whoever filmed it, whoever edited it, whoever uploaded it, or I should say, whoever approved it for upload, needs to seriously be called into an HR office and be like, what the fuck happened? Because it's not like they didn't film it and when they were replaying back the footage go, oh shit, there's Lois's Monday's panties, and then when they got it edited together and they sent it off to the marketing team for final approval, a marketing executive looked at it and then said, okay, this is fine. I don't see a problem. All right. She's wearing the tidy whities. We're good. Okay. There's no bush. It's very brief, and then, and I think it went even, again, all of this marketing stuff is going to go through James Gunn, co-CEO, or it's going to go through Peter Safran, co-CEO. And then when that happens, they, someone again saw it and they approved it and they put it out there. And then now it's like, what's going on? So there's been this theory that it was intentional, that it's done to make it viral, that it's staged. And I don't know, man, if I believe that. Like Warner's hasn't said anything. James Gunn hasn't said anything. And I don't think they will. I mean, this is one of those ones where they just kind of want to like make it go away. But still, it was entirely avoidable. And yeah, they're dumb for doing it. But then again, it's like, I don't know. Maybe they are trying to reach out to those young lizard brain boys that are just going to be like, whoa, panties. To be fair, I shall be fair. When I first saw this, I was on 4chan looking for something or another, and I came across it. I thought it was AI. I didn't think it was real. And then like I find out that it's real, and I'm like, what the hell? Like this is like, no, this is not something that like you want out there. But nah, well, look, again, your thoughts on this one, because clearly somebody thought it was okay. And I'm going to, we're going to keep on the DC there. We're not talking Superman. We're just talking DC. Okay. We're just talking DC here, because there was an article that came out. There's been a bunch of articles that have come out recently about how press got to go last year to the filming of Superman. They got to go visit the set. And in the process, Collider, before it was bought, I don't know, maybe it was already bought out by Valnet, right? Anyway, Collider was talking with one of the producers of it. And, she had said, quite frankly, something that bothered the piss out of me. And, her name here is, it's Molly Nong, I think. But she says that the DCU will kind of stand on its own, right? Here's her quote, saying the beauty of what James is envisioning is that he wants, and we want, every film and television show to be its own unique thing. We don't want to do anything that negates what's happening here. Like they have to have a kind of flow, but we're not handcuffed by it, and everything is uniquely its own thing, and that's really awesome. And then she goes on to say that Peter Safran will say that you'll hear that things will be consistent but not connected. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you guys doing? What are you doing? Because Gunn, again, remember when this whole thing was launched, right? Gunn had said that you're going to have the actors playing the characters across movies, television, video games, right? That's pretty fucking connected, right? That's pretty connected. But then they've kind of, I guess, revised that point more recently to say that it's more like you don't need to like do your homework, that you can jump in and jump out at any point in time and not feel like you're missing anything. To which case I ask, how is that even remotely fucking possible? And I mean that like legitimately. When you're telling a story that's meant to have plot points at some point interconnect, how can you do that without there being some form of connectivity? Right? I mean, consistency, sure. They're already saying that's what they want to do. It's going to be consistent, but it's just going to be not connected. And that's, and again, that's kind of a dig at Marvel for where Marvel's been at. But even Marvel is like, understanding that they need to like scale it back in the regards of like everything being maybe homework. But as I've said before, and I will repeat this until the day I die, you can ask that of the audience. And hell, they should ask that of the audience. They should 100% demand it of the audience. But the caveat to that is that it has to be worth it. It has to be worth it. It can't be as long and drawn out as Marvel's outputs have been getting to a point. We're talking like concise arcs that take place maybe over a year minimum, right? Like, I mean, we're talking stuff has to have beginning, middle, end, bam, bam, bam. It has to happen faster, faster, faster. And this stuff takes time to do, which is why it's hard to do that. And which is why Gunn and, Safran, they want to scale it back. They want to go, well, I mean, maybe kind of, we want it to be touch points every once in a while, but, we want you to be able to get on and get off and get and get the experience. And I'm like, yeah, so you're fleecing your audience at that point, right? You're promising them interconnected storylines that have a point and lead to an end game, no pun intended. and then you just go, we don't want to do it. We don't want to do it. We're just going to make it surface level. And honestly, this is why it's kind of doomed, to be honest with you. It is. I mean, listen, I hope it does well. I do, but it's like, if you're going to pussyfoot around what needs to be done, if you're going to use, kind of weasel words to get around everything, be mealy-mouthed about it, tell the audience one thing initially, and then go, yeah, maybe, because you don't have confidence in what you're doing. And that is ultimately what all of this boils down to, is having the confidence, right? Feige, confident. Balls of steel, confident. Gunn is out of his element. And Peter Safran, I don't think is helping any of that right now. Everything rides on Superman, even though he's trying to downplay it that it doesn't. It absolutely does. So as I've said before, if you want to support this movie, if you want to support what they're doing, go see it. Go see it. I'm going to see it. I'm hoping my mind has changed, that it's really good and opens the door to something that's going to be great. But again, the marketing ain't been great, right? It hasn't really been that good, in my opinion. The trailers have been okay, but it's kind of like we're watching this highly emotional, beat down Superman. It's very odd in regards to the messaging, right? If he's leading into having some kind of arc where he is beat down and he is kind of depressed and he's kind of weaker than what he usually is and everything else, but he's still like that scrappy superhero that's going to get by and the underdog that's going to win the day. I would like it if the marketing would somewhat reflect that we're going to get that, because right now the marketing is showing me this sad, depressed, bleak Superman with bright colors and red chonies, and look, people like to say, oh, Man of Steel is, well, I'm like, no, Man of Steel at least was like leading towards the idea of Clark understanding what it's like to be human, and feeling like he has to then live by the duality of his two fathers, right? The dueling ideologies. But at the end of the day, both fathers sacrificed themselves for him, so he could, when the time is right, do what is needed, do what is necessary. But I don't know. That's just like, I go back to that quote from Back to the Future, right? It might be a little much for you, but trust me, your kids are going to love it. And I just feel like we've had a bunch of kids over the last, 12 years that have really enjoyed Cavill. And due to, how they've fucked it up over Warner Brothers, we are where we are. And again, listen, I wish it well. I'm going to see it next week. I got my tickets. I'm going to get my popcorn, going to get my drink, going to sit down, turn off my brain, and hope to be impressed. Okay. But I just want to kind of point this out, right? I did the same thing, by the way, 9 goddamn years ago. Okay. When Ghostbusters 2016 was coming out. In fact, a lot of people know my coverage from Ghostbusters 2016. And I said the exact same thing then that I did now, which is go see it for your goddamn self. See if you want to watch it. I went first opportunity I could, early preview night screening, went in, sat down, closed my eyes, crossed both my fingers, and prayed to whatever deity would listen. Please don't suck. Please don't suck. Please don't suck. And it had a good opening. I like the cold open of the movie, by the way. And then after that, it's all absolutely downhill. And that movie wasn't good. And I was ultimately proven right about my criticism. I could be wrong here. But as I say, and when we talk about Jurassic World here in a second, actually, fucking understand where I'm coming from. And I think people are blinded by their own, biases and whatnot. Like, you can be critical of something as what you're being shown and then be like, all right, yeah, but still go see it. Choose to think for yourself. How about that? Right? That's something to do. All right, let's talk about these Jurassic World Rebirth Rotten Tomato scores that just came out, because it ain't looking great, right? It ain't looking great. Right now, it's opened up to a mixed reaction of about 57%, higher than Forbidden Kingdom and Dominion, but not great with the critics. The critics do praise Scarlett Johansson and Mahershala Ali, but say that the story is overstuffed and emotionally flat. And that's David Koepp who wrote the screenplay. And I remember when I first heard that David Koepp was writing the screenplay, I was like, oh God, why? There's going to be a subplot involving a father and his son, or a father and the child, or something along those lines, where they have conflict, because that's kind of what he writes about all the time. If you ever look at what David Koepp writes, it's usually something where there's like a conflict between like a father and a son, right? He wrote Hook, which I think was like his first screenplay. He wrote Hook, right? Peter Pan and his son having trouble, right? He wrote War of the Worlds. Tom Cruise and his son having trouble. He wrote Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Oh my God, father and son having trouble. It is a pattern that he does. For some reason, no one ever calls this out, and I wouldn't even have noticed it, honest to God, until I was actually at Comic-Con in 2005, right after the release of War of the Worlds, and I was in a panel. They were talking about the visual effects of the movie, and one of the guys on the VFX team had made a comment about how David Koepp always writes like a bad father and son storyline in his movies. And then after that, I realized, holy shit, that guy was right. It was like, all right. So ever since then, I've noticed that. And I'm like, ooh, that guy needs some therapy, man. Like, that's his go-to trope. That's his go-to thematic trope. Is, all right, I got this story about the end of the world. Aliens are coming down. Let's make it about a father and his estranged son. All right, I got a story about aliens and Indiana Jones and the Soviets in 1957. Let's make it about Indiana Jones and his greaser son. I got an idea about Peter Pan as an adult that's got to go back to Neverland in order to fight Captain Hook. Let's make it about Peter Pan and his son. Now, granted, I don't dislike any of these movies. I'm just pointing out there is a bit of there's a bit of a consistency in his writing, but hey, man, listen. So, they're criticizing the movie, saying that it's gorgeous. The dinos look great. It's shot like a monster movie. A Gareth Edwards monster movie, which is what's got me at full mast, to be fair. And then from there, it's going to have, kind of a whatever story. Look, man, is it going to, I don't even think anything this summer is going to hit $1 billion. Maybe Lilo and Stitch. It's only like $50 million away at this point. But I don't think anything's really going to hit $1 billion. We're not going to get multiple $1 billion movies, especially out of July. And so I don't think it's going to hit it. I don't think Superman's going to hit it. I don't even think Fantastic Four is going to hit it. I think 700 range for all of them might be pretty accurate, you know. But again, Jurassic World Dominion, a movie that everyone that seems to hate. I don't think I've talked to more than maybe one person that liked it. They've all said that that the movie was shit, but it still did a bill, right? I don't know. So I mean, it's like people like dinosaurs. We're gonna have to wait and see how it turns out. Again, I'm excited, man. 12:01 a.m. screening. The last time I went to a 12:01 a.m. screening was 2008's Iron Man. Because that was like the first movie that started dropping showings at like 7 p.m. on Thursday night. And I was like, fuck that, man. I'm going to the midnight show. And I did. And it was fun. All right, so let's talk about Brad Pitt and F1 and what is happening with that whole thing. So apparently the movie is very good. In IMAX, I hear it's wonderful. Lots of racing. It's, you know what I keep hearing? The constant comparison is that it's Top Gun Maverick, but for racing fans. And I'm not going to lie. That has me rolling my eyes. I haven't seen Top Gun Maverick, so that's not what's making me roll my eyes. But it's like, it's the same story. You know, it's just Top Gun Maverick was, you know, for people who grew up in the parents, millennials, Gen Xers, boomers, right? To go back and relive that part of the 80s where it was awesome to be Tom Cruise and everything. And it had a story, you know, kind of similar to this one, right? Underdog returns to form, that kind of thing. We've seen it before. I mean, instead of calling F1, Top Gun Maverick, but for cars, why not just call it Cars 3, but for racing? Because it's kind of the same, similar storyline, to be fair, you know, in many ways. From my understanding of what the storyline is, the thematic elements of it are very similar. Okay. It's just, once again, people ripping off Pixar because they don't have anything else better to do. But no, look, this movie had about a budget, I think, of around $300 million, which is nothing for Apple. It did gross approximately 146 million globally. I think 50 million here domestically. There have been teases of a sequel. And, at this point, Joseph Kosinski is saying that it's up to the audience if they want a sequel. So obviously that whole idea of, hey, do you want more? Go and see it in the theater, which is ultimately what they want. But at the same time, this is Apple. So what they really want is for you to go to Apple TV Plus and get yourself a subscription. That's what they really want. But at the same time, this was their biggest theatrical release, made the most amount of money. And that's a good thing for putting some of these movies that are for streaming, or made with streamers, I should say, to go out to the theaters, right? So it's like Netflix, hey, we're all looking at you, Netflix, but you ain't going to do it because it's not in your business model, despite the fact that they own the Egyptian. But they only do that so they can put some movies in theaters and then hope that they can get awards recognition. By the way, do that for K-pop Demon Hunters, you ghouls. Put it out there, get it out there in theaters, let people watch it, and then go and make the run for the award season. So anyway, going back to F1 here, what they're saying is that this could be more, a sequel is already in development, and it could be the birth of an actual original racing franchise. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. Is this going to be like the Rocky of racing franchises where they're just going to go like up the ladder into like different types of racing? You know, he's going to go and battle and race against different types of racers in different environments around the world. Is one of them going to be a Grand Prix, right? Like an endurance race sort of thing? I don't even know. Like, where do you take these kind of stories? I haven't seen this, so I have no idea, but it's like, it's racing. You drive around in a circle. All you're doing is taking lefts all day long. You know what I mean? Like people, I'm sorry. Like, okay, I've ridden in a race car. I have when I was younger. I did at a racetrack. I won a contest. I got to go in the race car. It was cool as shit when you're in it. But it's just like people who watch sports. I don't get it. You're just watching other people play. And in the case of racing, you're just watching them drive in a circle. And they're all like nuts to butts. I don't know. Maybe I'm not built for certain parts of this world, I guess, but that's just me. Okay, so let's get into the final part of the day. The final story. Paul Walker coming back. I heard about this yesterday. I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it at all. Paul Walker died in 2013, man. And that like impacted the shit out of me. It really did. It bothered me a lot. I was sad for days. You know, he died horribly, ironically, but horribly, you know, and you watch it and you're like, God damn, man. Like that's, you know, like that's terrible. And then they had to go back and they had to like, you know, rework all of the movie to shoot around the stuff that he hadn't shot yet. And they used his brother and they used HWAD digital in order to be able to do like the deep fake, right? The earliest kind of deep fakes. And they reused shots from Fast Five and other of the movies to kind of do the inserts. There's actually a shot in when they're in Abu Dhabi and they're sitting in like the cabana and it cuts to a shot of Paul Walker laughing. It's the same shot from the opening of Fast Five when he's sitting there talking to Dom. Like, I'm not even making it up, man. Like, they just reused something and threw it back in there, and it was so quick that unless you're an eagle-eyed Fast and Furious fanboy, which I believe that I am, you know, it was there. And look, man, Fast 7 gave us an excellent ending to Paul Walker's character. That at the end, you know, when they're playing the song like "When I See You Again" and they're doing the montage of everything, I fucking teared up, dude. I was sad at the end of that movie because I like Paul Walker. I always have. You know, and it's over and you're just kind of like, man, this fucking sucks. And you're upset about it. And, you know, and then it's like they gave him a send off. And yeah, he's been kind of somewhat referenced here and there in the movies, you know, because shit just escalates and like, where's Brian? Why is Mia here but not Brian? Right? Like, yeah, those are going to be questions, but like everyone knows that the man died 12 years ago. You know, everyone knows that he's gone, that he's dead, that he you know, and like, and it was bad. Like he burned to death. You know what I mean? Like, fuck. Because he was alive when the car crashed and then it ignited and then he was in there. Okay. So it's like, you know, whatever. Anyway. So Vin Diesel is confirming that Brian O'Connor will appear in Fast 11, which is the finale, slated for 2027. They plan on bringing him back using CGI and body doubles and archival footage, just like they did with Fast and Furious 7, but the deepfake technology these days is way better. So what I'm really wondering is, are they going to use the deepfake with like the re-speecher AI in order to like do the same thing that they did for the opening of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, as well as Luke Skywalker in the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 5, The Return of the Mandalorian. All right, like this is where we are right now. Like celebrity, you know what I mean? Like the joke from Deadpool and Wolverine about like, you know, you're going to be doing this till you're 90. It's beyond that now. It's absolutely going to end up being beyond that now. And look, as much as I'm a proponent of artificial intelligence, I do feel that it's like, oh, okay. Like, the family apparently is on board with it. Like, I know Vin wants to end the Fast franchise where it began by being back with Brian. I'm hoping that it's just like a reunion at the very end, like a hug and like an acknowledgement that it's over. You know, like that's all I'm really hoping that it is. But then at the same time, Vin Diesel has said like Fast 11's going back to its roots of street racing through Los Angeles. How do you go from Fast 10, where he's driving down an exploding dam, right, up against Jason Momoa's crazy ass bad guy, and then take it back to its roots? It's very odd. I'm very curious to see what they do with this. I've been a fan of Fast and the Furious since 2001. I'm going to be seated. Okay. I'm going to be seated. And I hope Momoa comes back because he was like one of the best parts of Fast 10. Right. You know, so I don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to give us the Hobbs movie? Like what's going on with that, man? Like the franchise is in limbo. And I think a fair amount of it has to do with the whole thing with Vin Diesel and that accusation and that lawsuit that came out. about him. That's gone away for the most part. And so I think they're just trying to push it down the road a little bit, to when like people just aren't going to be thinking about it and it's not going to be a deal when it comes out. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know. I just finish the damn franchise. All right. Like let's bring it home. Let's bring it in. Let's do it. Speaking of all that, let's bring it home. Let's bring it in. Let's do it. So I took a quick refresh here of the anonymous questions. I got 2 of them. Okay. I got 2 of them here. One of them, as I mentioned early on, came in last night. Let's see if you know who this is. Question anonymously asks, thoughts on Sophie Thatcher, and do you see her possibly winning an Oscar someday? Gee, I wonder who sent that one in anonymously, but thank you. I like Sophie Thatcher. She was great in Companion. She was great in Heretic. Those are the 2 things that I've seen her in. I hear she's good in Yellow Jackets, as well as some of the other movies that she's been in that have been recommended to me that I haven't seen yet. But she's definitely in a space where she's like young. She's like 23, 24. So she's going to be right now really building her resume and really getting in on some of these more like prestige type films. And the more she does that and the more people get exposed to her, the more that she'll be able to kind of like really bring herself out there. And I have high hopes for her. I think she's a really good actress. And provided, I want her to stay honest to herself, right? Like, don't do big IP movies. Don't do big tentpole films, like stick with what works. Stick with like the low budget genre sci-fi films, those kind of things that have maybe a horror element to it. Really work on your acting chops and get out there in a way that's going to make people. So when you finally do that really big Hollywood reveal, you've earned it. People can go back and find your previous work and be like, God damn, wow, she's really good. And then they get excited rather than Hollywood doing what Hollywood does best and taking someone that's new and fresh faced and has a future. It's someone who is up and coming and then literally shove them down our throats to the point of where it's not interesting. Look at Taylor Kitsch back in 2012. You had Battleship, John Carter, Savages. All 3 of those movies were kind of big failures. I love John Carter and I love Battleship, but I never saw Savages. But again, they tried and they failed. And now he doesn't have that career. Same with Sam Huntington, the guy in Avatar, man, right? He did Clash of the Titans. And he did a few other big budget things. And then Avatar's kind of his jam. And that's good. He's going to make his money. He's set for life doing that, but he's not really, knocking the doors down on anything else. So you got to be careful about that. Thank you, though. And then the next question here is, what is Twilight of the Mallrats going to be? How come we haven't heard anything about the film? I don't know. It was supposed to go into production a long time ago because Kevin Smith had talked about like they were going to film it in Pennsylvania. And then it just didn't happen. I think like Clerks 3, the 4:30 movie, whatever he's working on now. I think he's doing like Store Wars, which is a Jay and Silent Bob movie as well, about them like getting into a turf war with another pot shop across the street from the Quick Stop. So I don't know what he's doing with that. I don't know if Twilight of the Mallrats is going to happen or not. At this point, I don't know, man. It's such a classic. Like I love Jay and Silent Bob reboot. I really did. But at the same time, it's like, I think he's evolved beyond that in a way where that universe would kind of need a bit more maturing. Unless you're getting, if you get T.S. Quint and you get Brody and they're back, and we saw Brody, with this comic shop and the reboot, right? Are you going to bring back, Joey Lauren Adams? Are you going to bring back Michael Rooker? Are you going to bring back Claire Forlani? Are you going to bring back, Ben Affleck, right? What about, Gil Hicks, right? Dante Hicks is a strange cousin or whatever the hell it was, right? What's going to happen? I don't even know what they're going to do with it, but hopefully we'll get some more information at some point. I'm not against it, but it is what it is. Anyway, thank you guys for those comments. I appreciate that. The link will be in the video description. Be sure to leave your anonymous thoughts. If not, you guys can also call in 323-400-4956. I do appreciate you. Goddamn, another long episode. I did not want this to be as long as it is. I really was trying to just keep it about 40 minutes, but now we're coming up on an hour. I like talking to you guys. That's why I do it. Anyway, Have yourself a great day, everybody. Go watch some movies. I'll talk to you tomorrow, and peace out.